The bigger the star, the easier it is to work. If you're shooting with John, Akshay, Mr. Bachchan, Shah Rukh, they'll rarely come to your monitor to even see the picture. Even if you've studied from a photography school, the first-hand experience that you get on set, what decisions you take, what instructions you give the model, how you deal with clients, how you deliver images, those are things you can never learn. Gen Z or whatever the latest generation people don't have the kind of patience which we had, because today when you talk about assisting for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it's unheard of. Where I never post even a story or like a BTS or anything, because those are ethics which I have followed from the very beginning, that until the brand doesn't use the picture, I will not post that picture.
Hi, and welcome once again to Expert Talk with Bhavya Desai. In this podcast, I've spoken to Dabboo Ratnani, of course, who's a very celebrated and a very famous Bollywood and fashion commercial photographer. We've had conversations about how does he prepare for the shoot, how did he begin, what is interesting, and if you want to become a successful Bollywood photographer, then how is it you should approach this industry, and a lot more. So I'm sure that you will enjoy this conversation a lot. And of course, if you do, then before you start watching this, please subscribe to our channel. Make sure that you share this with all your friends, all your fans, and see you in the next one. Hey, hi Dabboo.
Hi, Bhavya.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure.
And as you know that this is a podcast where I actually talk to a lot of photographers. We're going to extend to a lot of different topics as well, and it's more about conversations with a lot of friends so that we can really make it interesting for people who are watching it, and also educative as well.
Sure.
So having said that, thank you so much for coming in, and let's get into it in terms of just a little bit about the journey. I know that people know this already and probably they've read about this, but how did you really get into this industry? If you can just take us through that journey.
So I was interested in photography from a very young age. I mean, it was like from school days, I was like the picnic photographer and then the family photographer on holidays. So I was really obsessed with gadgets. I mean, that's where it all started. And initially, everybody thought that, including me, thought that this is another gadget which I've got obsessed with, and but it got a little more serious when I was in the 11th grade in college, where we were doing an audio visual, we were doing a inter-college fashion show.
Okay.
And between two sequences, when the models go to change, there's like a 1.5 minute gap. So I suggested, why don't we do like an audio visual where we shoot pictures and we project them and play some music, so that while the crowd is waiting, they're not bored, they're seeing some fashion images of the same models who are a part of the show. And so they loved the idea, and so that's where my journey in terms of shooting my first fashion shoot. I borrowed a DSLR. Sorry, it was film SLR. I borrowed a SLR from a friend of mine, and I actually shot transparency for the first time. And those pictures came out pretty good. I mean, for those standards, for those days. And my college kids, my principal, plus my teachers and all, they say, "Oh, Dabboo, you're very good with photography. You should probably think of pursuing." And I took it very seriously.
Right.
And post my 12th grade, actually during my 12th standard, I went and met Sumit Chopra, who was my brother's friend, and I told him that I'm really getting obsessed with photography and I want to continue photography. There was no choice of going abroad to study because it was very expensive, and we're from a middle class family, and my dad said there's no chance that we can even afford to send you abroad. I had never traveled abroad till that time as well. So Sumit said, if you work with me for 3 years, you will probably learn more than that he learned at Brooks.
Right.
Because you'll be in the industry, you'll meet people, production, and things that you really would end up using in your profession.
Right.
So I committed 3 years with him. That was like a commitment I had given him, that I will stay for minimum 3 years, but I ended up staying for 4, because I learned so much,
Right.
And it was not only photography, it was so much about production, about life, about meeting people, dealing with people, gambling, share market, and so on.
Right.
So I learned a lot in those 4 years, and at the end of those 4 years, I started getting assignments on my own, and that's when I decided to branch out and do my own
Right,
thing.
right.
And there's a lot more happened during. I used to practice on weekends. I did my first film assignment while I was training with him. So things started moving, and this was way back. I was like 16 when I joined him. I left at about 2021.
Wow.
At 22, I was a full-fledged photographer running my own business.
I understand. So, I mean, I think around that time the time was very different. Of course, you did not have social media. You did not have the liberty.
You didn't have a mobile phone.
Yeah, you did not have the liberty of having online as a medium to learn. So in today's day and age, then what is still the best medium or the best way that any newcomer or any youngster who really wants to get into this glamour, fashion, celebrity sort of photography or this genre to get in now? Is it still very advisable to assist someone first and then try to make your path into this line?
I think so. I mean, I feel that, like I said, as an assistant, even if you've studied from a photography school, the first-hand experience that you get on set, taking, like, what decisions you take, what, in terms of what instructions you give the model, how you deal with clients, how you deliver images. Those are things you can never learn from a photography school. So I feel there's a lot of, even if someone, at least 1 year, they should assist a photographer to learn the real practical side of photography. And today it's a lot more easier for people to approach to get work. Today there's Instagram, you can DM people, you can email people. Back in the day, we used to actually make printouts and carry a portfolio bag and go to ad agencies and fix an appointment with the creative director and the art director, show our work, and then expect a call back on your landline that, okay, they'll call you for an assignment. So, and doing editorials really helped me because at that point, when your name appeared in magazines, first of all, a lot of brands who advertise in the magazines see your work there, and then they call you for the brand shoots. And secondly, it makes it credible. Today, when you post a picture online on your Instagram or your Facebook, you don't know if you've really shot it. As in, a client doesn't know if is it a picture you've just posted or you've actually shot it or you've reposted somebody else. So when your name appears in a magazine, it makes it more credible, and the client can trust you that much more to give you an assignment. So I feel that way it's important to have at least some work of yours in the print medium.
Understand. Yeah, I think that's very important, as you said rightly, that credibility, especially in today's day and age, is such an important thing because it actually kind of just builds on to building that portfolio. But you mentioned that, I mean, today there are too many outlets, too many mediums where you can actually approach photographers and you can obviously get to assist them. But is it, I mean, from a realism standpoint, is it possible? Is it really easy? Because these days, I think, for someone like you who probably has like more than 1 million followers, right? I'm sure you must be getting bombarded with a lot of DMs. Some of them are really, I would say at least like 70% of them probably are not really relevant.
90% of them are not relevant, actually.
I was just being polite.
Because I'll tell you something also, what I've noticed is the new age people and the Gen Z or whatever the latest generation people don't have the kind of patience which we had, because today when you talk about assisting for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it's unheard of. I mean, I've had people who've come and assisted me and couldn't handle 1 day. And then somebody will commit for 2 years and want to leave in 2 months because they thought they've learned it all in 2 months. So they're very impatient in today's day and age. So we are extra careful on the people we appoint as an assistant, because finally he or she is going to take your name forward and going to go to their city or wherever and say, okay, I assisted Dabboo for X amount of years. So that kind of quality is expected out of that person. And then if they don't deliver, then say, what did Dabboo teach you? So I'm a little concerned with that. So I really keep it as less as possible. Assistants nowadays, I rather hire people as per job basis, as per the
Understand.
assignment,
Hmm.
and I rather train someone who's really passionate and who comes to me like as if he's coming to an institute,
Hmm.
where we also charge like a security deposit.
Understand.
It's not a big amount,
Hmm.
but when they feel that they've put some money down as a deposit,
Right.
they come to you like a school, like they come to work
Right.
and they come to assist, like
Yeah.
as if they're really learning at an institute.
Understand.
And at the end of your tenure, if you committed 2 years or 3 years, you get the money back.
Understand.
So, but I feel that makes it a bit more serious,
Yeah.
and you get like a bunch of people who are more enthusiastic and who are more really doing it for the art of photography rather
Hmm.
than trying to meet celebrities.
Understand. Yeah. Yeah. When you have something down, then there's more skin in the game, as they say.
absolutely.
So it makes it a lot better. But it's interesting that you mentioned this. But is this something that you've seen happening in the industry with a lot of other photographers from different genres as well?
Like
when you
what?
talk to, like, wherein they are a little bit more careful about who they want to bring on board now, who they want to actually have as assistants or as part of their team, as you would say.
I have really not discussed it with other photographers, but I've spoken to people like Alim, who's a hairdresser,
Right.
and other people, makeup artists and all,
Right.
who have the same policy where they put in a deposit and then only you kind of get them on
Understand.
board, and same thing, they get the money back from this thing. But
Understand.
I just feel that like I said, it's not about holding their money. It's about them being, their intention. That okay, if he's ready to put in that money, he really wants to really do it badly.
Right.
So that's my only thought process. But many people still pay the deposit and still disappear in few months, because I don't know if they can handle the pressure.
Right.
And that, like I said, you need to be patient, and it's not about, and when you're assisting also, they expect that they'll only come for the shooting days,
Right.
and they don't want to come on the days where the pre-production is happening, or the post-production, or the backups, or where we are backing up our data. They don't want to come and do all that. They don't want to do office work. They
Right.
just want to come for those 10, 15 shooting days of the month and have the rest of the 15 days off,
Right.
which doesn't work.
Right.
Today, if you're assisting, you have to learn every single detail, and you have to kind of be there when we need you. You can't just be there on the days of shooting and
Right.
see a celebrity shooting and go home and then brag about it.
Right.
So that intention should be there, that fire, that passion should be there in whatever profession you do, whether you're doing filmmaking, whether you're doing hairdressing, makeup, whatever you're doing, or photography. It has to be an intention to really make it out there. You have to have that fire, to make a name in the industry.
I understand. Now, you mentioned about, so for the benefit of the viewers, can you just give us an idea of what is that percentage in terms of breakdown, which is like kind of so someone who actually is into this genre, then what would be the percentage wherein they would actually shoot? There'll be how much of percentage is more of pre-production, say in a month's time, if it's 1 month, how much of that is like kind of shooting time, just 10 days, and then remaining 20 days is more of pre-production, post-processing, planning? Because as you rightly said, that it's a glamorous industry, people want to really get the razzmatazz and not
I would say certain months it's 10 days, certain months it's even 20 days of shooting. So it's like in this profession, there's not like it's not seasonal, or it's not like, it depends on the assignments you're doing, So in the times like maybe summer holidays, when a lot of the celebrities travel, you'll have lesser days of work. Monsoon, you may have a few lesser days of work. But during like pre-Diwali, pre-IPL, where a lot of brand shoots are happening, Christmas, you're working a lot more. Like if I'm doing my annual calendar, then we are shooting through November, December, Jan, where it's like, and it's endless hours of work. We come back to the studio, we are doing our selection, getting the post-production done same day itself, working on the design of the calendar, working on the BTS pictures, the video. So there's so much of other work, and I feel that also so much to learn from that. Like even when I remember when I was assisting Sumit, those days we used to shoot 7, 8 days, 10, 12 days a month maximum on the higher side, and on the rest of the days, Sumit said, you can help me like clean up the contact sheets, file the contact sheets, the negatives and everything. And I felt that those days I learned so much because I was going through all this archived work,
Right.
and I was seeing contact sheets and negatives which I would have never got access to.
Right.
So I could see, okay, how he's lit it up and how the final product looked. So I took it as a big learning experience. Even cleaning the studio for me was so much of learning, that old prints, archival prints, and those days it was only film. So there was everything, transparencies. And I came up with a lot more questions during those non-shooting days. I used to sit with Sumit and I used to say, okay, what about this? How was this printing done? Or if it was a black and white, how it used to be, we used to print with color tones, like sepia tones and stuff like that. So all those things I learned on non-shooting days.
Right. In fact, I think that's the most important line. That's what I tell a lot of people as well, that when you're not doing much is when you actually have access to people.
Correct.
And that's the time when you can really have a conversation and you get to learn so
that's
much.
what the people who have assisted me in the past few years, I tell them that on a shooting day, you can't come and ask me questions.
Right.
But you can make a note in your phone that, okay, if I've done a particular lighting or you have a question about why I used a particular setup for that particular shot, you make a note of it and you come back to me when we are in the studio, maybe 1-2 days later, we are not shooting, or we'll fix a time once a week where you take 1 hour and ask me whatever questions you want. And at a shoot day, you're so preoccupied, there's so much going on, you can't expect your assistant to come and say, why are you doing this or why are you doing that?
Yeah, true. Absolutely. So, now, naturally, in this sort of genre of photography, as we spoke about the youngsters as well, from the outside, of course, it really, and this is like really a bare basic sort of a question at a very general level, is that from the outside, naturally, for everyone, whether it's Bollywood, whether it's, of course, fashion photography, celebrity photography, glamour photography, it looks great from the outside.
Correct.
Because everybody only sees the final product.
Absolutely.
They probably see a few BTS shots which have naturally either carefully curated or they've been thought after.
Right.
And they get really hooked onto that razzmatazz. But from the inside, if you can tell us like how it really, really is, that'd be great.
So, not only celebrity shoots, I would say any shoot, what it looks like in the final product, there's a lot that has gone into it, starting from like the pre-production in terms of even like meeting the agency for that particular brand shoot. Then the brainstorming that has gone into it, the concepts, your input as a photographer, the input as a creative director, art director, all of us have discussed and come up with some new ideas, and we've said, okay, so finally we lock onto that idea. Then when you go on to the shoot, so when I'm on the drive, when I'm actually heading to the shoot also, my mind is working on what kind of lighting I'm going to do there, or what I'm going to create today, or what modifiers I may use, or what different will I do today. I've shot with the same actor 1,000 times. Today, what will I do different that I've not done before?
Right.
Whether it's a new reflector, whether it's a new lens, whether it's a new kind of lighting, whether it's going to be hard lighting, soft lighting, all those things are going on in my head. And my team has the list of equipment, what they need to set up much prior.
Of course.
So even if I'm going to use 3 lights, we probably set up 9. And because at the last minute, if I need to change a lighting, I don't want the actor to wait or the model to wait while that change is happening. I can just pull out that light from the corner, and if I don't use it, the light is not going to feel bad. So it's better to have a few extras, bigger soft boxes, reflectors, grids, whatever you need. Keep everything ready on standby, beauty dish or whatever you need. Think of extras that you may need and keep it ready. Extra stands, extra boom, L rods, whatever you need, keep everything ready. And so all this is already going on in my head while I'm heading to the studio. And if I think of something, I will send a voice note to him and say, okay, set up this in this order, and I'll come there and fine tune it. So all that is going through, which people don't see. What I'm thinking about, what my thought process is in terms of even lighting, reflectors, cutters, flags, whatever the smallest detail that may go into this thing. And then after and while the shoot is happening, to deal with your models, actors, to deal with the client who's going to be there, to deal with makeup people, hairdressers, everybody, putting in their thought process while the shoot is happening. And you're actually thinking while you're shooting as well. I mean, it's not about just you've thought and exactly everything is going as per plan. So while improvising at the shoot itself, and then finally when the shoot is done, wrapping up everything, and then the post-production starts, where you take it back to the studio and you start working on the post, and then finally is where the final edit comes. So it could be even something like you are shooting with a particular actor and your light blows up.
Right.
It's happened. I was shooting with Amir, and back in the day, and I used to use Ellen Chrome lights, I remember, and every time I shot with Amir, it used to blow up. I said, I don't understand why this happens when I'm working with you only. So things like that, to deal with the situation over there also, the stress that you're going to go through, immediately set up something else, quickly swap the light, heat situations, cold situations. I mean, you have to think on your toes at that right moment. So you can't take anything for granted. And for me, my priority is not to make my actor wait. Today, a brand is paying crores of rupees to an actor.
Right.
So that 8 hours that we have with him is very precious. So you cannot afford to waste time of the client and get everybody irritated on set. Then another thing I've heard from other clients is that many photographers have their own attitude problem. So you think, well, first of all, we are dealing with high-level situations, stress, actors, timings, coordinating everything, and then to deal with the ego of a photographer. So you have to be patient. There may be times where you have to wait for 3 hours. You cannot get irritated. So we are shooting along with an ad film. The film is going to get priority. You have to understand that. So things like that, people don't understand while they just see the final product. They just see the hoarding looks great. देखो क्या करना है, click करना है, उंगली ऐसे करना है. They just think that it's so simple.
Yeah, I agree. I actually remember when I'd met a photographer. By the way, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I joined the business and I joined the magazine, you were the first photographer that I interviewed.
Really?
Yeah. So do you remember I'd come down to your office?
I remember. The interview. I didn't know it was your first.
Yeah, it was the first time that I'd actually. I think it was about 6 or 7 months in the business, and in the magazine, I was part of the editorial team at that time. So anyways, but yeah, coming to this part, so I actually met a photographer at on location for one of the interviews, and that's how this actually came to me, is that we were originally supposed to meet at about 11 o'clock or 11:30, if I'm not mistaken, in the morning. I won't name the photographer, but just in general. So they were supposed to shoot at from 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning, and he said, okay, I think we're going to be done by 10:30, so let's keep it half an hour safe and let's do it at 11.
Right.
So just before leaving at 10:30, of course, we didn't have mobiles those times, so I just called up on a landline. So he said, yeah, no problem. He's like, you can come in. I think maybe 1 hour we should postpone. By 12:30, it should be okay. He called up like at 12. He's like, you know what? I think it's not happened yet. Can we meet at like 2:30? I said, okay, cool. And when I left, I didn't know. I reached there, and unfortunately, the poor guy was still waiting. And he's like, you know what? It's still not happened. So I was like, okay. So we started the interview, and he said, you know what? See, if they come, and then immediately I will have to rush. Please just bear with me. I know you've been like, it's been the whole day.
Right.
And I kid you not, I was supposed to meet at 2:30, but I because of traffic and stuff like that, I reached at around 3:15ish, unfortunately. We started about 3:30. We finished the interview at 5. At 5 also, from morning 8 o'clock in the morning till evening 5 o'clock, he was just waiting.
Yeah.
And then within 1 minute, suddenly he got a call and they said, the assistant came and he's like, we have to go, they're coming. And then he said, you know what, just wait for 15 minutes, I'll be back and stuff like that. And then unfortunately, he never came back. The reason is because I think probably must have got caught up there. But I understand what you're saying. I think for someone who's really accomplished photographer, that can be a challenge sometimes for sure.
No, it's not. I mean, I feel that it's just a lot to do with your mindset, with your patience. And you have to, along with having good equipment and everything, one of the qualities that you need to have is you need to be patient.
Understand. So that brings me to my next question. what are the top three things that you think? One is in terms of quality as well, okay, and number two is that in terms of the shoots, what are the three things on either of these sides are things that you one need in terms of quality, and two is that things you cannot do without. Of course, minusing out the cameras and XYZ.
Right.
I mean to say more.
Yeah. So like you said, like today when someone's calling me, when a brand is calling me for an assignment or an actor's calling me for a shoot, it's understood that good equipment is going to be there. I mean, that's
Right.
a given.
Right.
That's not something that they don't even ask you which brand of camera or how many
Right.
megapixel,
Right.
because they know that, okay, if Dabboo shooting, that's understood, So other than that, I mean, to capture good quality, I'd say lighting is very, very important. So lighting, I mean, even if you're shooting outdoors, if you're shooting indoors, what the mood of the picture is going to be. So you need to pre-plan everything and be ready for that. So if it's an indoor shoot, I mean, what light would you need? And lighting is, I think, the single most thing which can make or break your picture.
Absolutely.
I feel that, lenses, cameras, still that you can still handle. But if your light is bad, in terms of the quality of light you use, or if you use the wrong modifier, or you're shooting in like harsh outdoor light, it can really make or break the shot. So I feel that is something that is very, very important. Brands are not so important, depending, as long as the light quality is good. I mean, you can choose your brand that you want, depending on what you can afford as well. And then I feel creating a nice ambiance in the shoot, with the music, with the mood, good coffee, good food. All these are also something that kind of comforts everybody at a shoot. The mood is nice. Everyone's feeling good. Your shoot goes well.
Right.
I feel that these are very, very important. And then I think it's your nature and your patience and the way you deal with everyone that sets the mood right also. I feel that these are things that you don't learn in photography school. These are things which I've learned with experience. And it's the nature of your person. I mean, I've heard there are some photographers who don't play any music.
Right.
They prefer to keep it really quiet and only their voice should be heard. I'm not that kind. Once I start shooting and I've got the mood and the shoot starts, I blast the music like it's a party. So everyone has their own way of dealing with it. And I actually create a playlist for that particular shoot that I'm going for. So it's everyone's different kink. I'm really into music. I really like to make it feel really chilled out at the shoots. And I carry my coffee machine, I brew, I carry my beans. I mean, for me, it's like I set up my house at the shoot.
Right.
So each one has its own style of shooting.
Of course. So, Dabboo, you said earlier that you obviously shoot with a lot of stars, and you've shot with them before. Then naturally, there are times when you obviously don't want to do the same thing, neither for your creative satisfaction, neither for, of course, the stars. So can you tell us, how is it that someone breaks out of that circle or kind of like gives something different as well? The reason is because naturally it needs to be exciting for you as well.
Yeah.
It needs to be exciting for whom you're shooting.
So how I do it is, like I said, every day is a learning experience for me. And I don't ever feel that success should reach your head. I feel that every day, even when I'm going, suppose, to an ad film set and I'm seeing the DOP of that ad film doing a particular lighting, I look at it, and I'll understand how to modify that for stills. So next time when I'm doing a shoot or an experimental shoot, I will try that lighting. So I feel that like you met me at many of the photo fairs and any broadcast or anything that's happening, whether it was Photokina earlier,
Right.
I used to go and attend for the simple reason to get something new every time. So I was the first photographer in India to even get brise lights from Germany.
Okay.
Much before India knew what brise was. So I went to Germany. I actually went to the brise factory and I picked it up way before anybody knew what brise was. So I'm really enthused about what the new gadgets are, what the new equipment is. Much before Leica came to India, I had the Leica system because I saw it at Photokina and I touched base and actually flew down to Singapore to pick up my camera body and lenses. So I'm really, really enthusiastic with what the new tech that's coming. So I think anything can give you new excitement, whether it's a new lens, whether it's literally a new reflector, a new shape of a reflector. So I'm always constantly thinking that, okay, I'll use this for this one, or I'll use this for this actor, or I'll try this, So maybe he may not even notice it's something new, but for me, at least I tried something different.
Right.
So it's not about showing people. Like when I said, even when I set up 10 lights and keep it on the side, it's not to show off.
Right.
It is for my convenience. And if I feel that a moment comes that I want to try something different, I have the light accessible to me.
Understand.
So it's more like in your head, you're thinking of new ideas, new concepts. The reflector may end up looking like something what you've done before, but at least you gave it a shot. So I recently shot with Sachin Tendulkar for a campaign. So I was thinking, okay, now I've shot Sachin so many times before. I've used this kind of lighting. I've used top. I've used left, right, this, that. What should I do different? So I set up different lights which I'd never shot with him with. So I said, okay. And he looked at the picture and said, wow, it's looking really nice. So at least he noticed that there was something different from what he's done before.
Right.
So that's enough for me to keep me excited through that whole shoot.
Understand.
Yeah. So.
But from a creative input perspective, now there are two facets to this. One is naturally there are brands which will be okay with you also giving a lot of inputs, you also kind of being part of that process.
Correct.
Because they want to collaborate. And of course, then there are brands, agencies, wherein they come in with a clear picture, and they want exactly.
So you give them that then. If your agency wants, if they have a clear idea of what the client wants, it's good to give it to them rather than trying to clash. It's not an ego thing for me.
Right.
Today, if a brand shows me a reference that, okay, we want Akshay Kumar to look like exactly like this, and that's the way it's to be shot, you give it to them because they've got a brief from the client. Today, you try and do your extra bit just for the heck of making it experimental. It's going to bounce, and then it's on you.
Understand.
So if a client, without naming any brands, if it's a FMCG, they want a clear, bright picture, which they know is going to work for their target audience, you better do it that way.
Right.
Right. Where you have the leeway of doing experimental shoots is for editorial, for certain fashion brands,
right.
For certain brands where, if it's not for a outfit, if it's not for an apparel and it goes into shadow, it's fine. But if it's for an apparel brand and they want to show the wash of the denim, you better show it. In that space, whatever maximum you can experiment with lighting, you do it. But you can't compromise with the client. You can't compromise the look just because you wanted to do something different.
Understand. Yeah. But is there a room like that wherein obviously you give them what they want and then you also have a little bit of room where you can always request them and tell them that there is, I think this might look good.
You can do that when you're doing a non-celeb shoot.
Okay.
Where you have the extra time. I did a fashion brand shoot, in fact, for the same brand, Rookies, and where he gave me a complete free hand in whatever I wanted to do. But the garment had to show because obviously that's what we are finally selling, Right. So I experimented a lot with lighting, from harsh sources to soft sources to like exhaust fans and smoke and lots of stuff, like lot of grunge backgrounds. I went really crazy with but the garments still showed.
Understand.
So I went dramatic with the background. I went dramatic, but not in terms of hiding the garment.
Right. Now, you said that naturally, I think the most important commodity or the most important thing that anybody has today is time. Right. That's the biggest value that you have. And especially when you're shooting a lot of working in the genre that you work, time is extremely critical. And you said that you don't like to waste celebrity or stars' time.
Right.
How much of the time that you really get, if it's a brand shoot, is it like a full 8-hour shift usually? Because I think that's also a lot. Usually that is not.
Yeah. So usually what happens with most celebrity brand shoots is they shoot along with the ad film.
Okay.
So if the celebrity is coming for 8 hours for the brand film, usually if there are outfit changes in the film, So he'll finish the film part, say an hour or two, then come to you for 15-20 minutes. Then she'll go and change for the next look. If the film is ready, they'll start the film shoot, or they'll come first for stills, 15-20 minutes, and then go for the film.
Right.
So we have to work alongside the timing, whatever's available. But that 1 hour of, suppose if it's 3 or 4 changes, 1 hour of shooting time is what is given to you for stills. But you may need to wait from 9 to 6 to get that
Right.
1 hour.
Right. And how much of that is a collaborative effort from the star side as well? Do they have a lot of input in most? I'm sure they do.
They do in terms of, because they have an image, and
Okay.
they have to be comfortable in what poses that they're doing. And like sometimes clients come up with some very random poses, and they say that ye karna hai ya ye karna hai, and the actor will say that I can't do this. I mean, it looks really awkward. So if he has a justified explanation, the client mostly understands.
Understand.
And many times they'll say, "Aap karo." You do the shoot. If it doesn't look nice, we won't use it.
Understand.
So there's a midway where, like a path we all reach. And then many times the client, the actor or the model trusts me and say, "Okay, Dubs, I'm doing it for you. You see, if
Right.
it looks bad, you delete it. Don't use this picture."
I understand. Right. Let's take it a little lighter. I actually want to come back to a little bit of the business end of this photography and this genre as well. But before that, actually, since we're on this topic, who is like kind of just a few questions on that? Who's the easiest celebrity or the star to work with, male, female?
For me, I think the bigger the star, the easier it is to work.
Really?
For me, like if you're shooting with John, Akshay, Mr. Bachchan, Shah Rukh, they'll rarely come to your monitor to even see the picture. And the thing is that with all these people, they've kind of trusted you, where they say, "Okay, Dabboo shooting, I'm not worried."
Right.
So you've reached that confidence level over the so many years of relation and the trust that you've built for so many years that they'll completely say, "Acha, theek hai, that's Ranbir, Alia, Kareena." They don't really come to the monitor also.
Understand.
So and like Hrithik, once they'll see the picture, nice, come on, let's go, let's shoot.
Right.
They'll come if they want to really wow, it's looking really cool, let's try something more. If they want to really trip out on the picture, they'll come and see it. But rarely they'll come up and say that, "Hey, lighting is not right," or this. It never works like that. So I feel that most of the actors, I think the newer ones who are a little insecure, sometimes they will come, "Hey, is it okay?" They also need that kind of assurance and security.
Right.
So it's fair. I mean, and for me, been doing this over 25 years now, so I've kind of made a relation out of it. It's not really so professional, like they'll come and
Right.
so it's more like a rapport that you've created and the vibe you generate at the shoot. So
Right.
it's more friendly and more chilled out.
So would it be right to say actually that this is a lot about kind of people management and interpersonal skills apart from just having technical
You
skills
can
as a
say that, but
photographer?
I would say it's more in the long run.
Okay.
So today, when shooting with a new photographer, they may be a little apprehensive in terms of until they see the results. So and then it's about, like I said, what I mean by vibe and relation is that if a photographer is starstruck and he's like going crazy looking at the actor itself,
Right.
that's a wrong vibe to give out. So that's what I mean by the relation and the vibe that you have with the actor. It's not about like you need to be buddies and hug them and anything like that. It's about having fun at the shoot, like I said, the ambience you create in the shoot, the mood you create, the lighting, finally the result.
Right.
If your work is good, you will get a chance to work with them again, or if they're not happy or you don't do justice to the shoot, then obviously, so you have to keep outdoing what you've done. It's not about doing one great shoot and you're set for 20 years.
Right.
You have to keep pushing the envelope. You have to keep outdoing what you've done, keep evolving with time, with equipment, with lighting, with trends, follow everything that's going on, even in terms of fashion, in terms of what looks nice. Because finally, you're the one who's seeing it through the lens.
Right.
You're giving direction. So you have to see what the worldwide trends are right now. You can't tell them some outdated poses to do.
So in fact, that's what. So before coming into the trends, that's a very interesting topic to talk on. But just coming back to the previous one, who's, and I need one name, who's the most meticulous that you've worked with?
Meticulous. I'd say Amir.
Okay.
In a good way, where he's Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
So he really wants, when you tell him that Amir, we are doing a casual, means he'll go as casual can go.
Okay.
So he'll literally do it like that. So if he says that, okay, today we did a shoot with him where he said, I'm coming home. He said, come home and shoot. And he said, हाँ ठीक है, natural light में कर लेंगे. So I said, ठीक है. But I carried 2-3 lights and I set it up. He said, अरे तूने बोला natural light में कर रहे, why you got so many lights? I said, yeah, I just kept it as a backup. Sun चला जाएगा, कुछ भी हो जाए, नहीं, we should have a backup.
Right.
नहीं, आज natural light में करेंगे. So he's like, that way he's very meticulous and he listens to whatever you say.
I understand. Right. Who's the most fun to work with?
Abhishek. I think he's crazy. Yeah. He's fun. He's non-stop commentaries going on. Keep talking. It's more like we meet, we are having a coffee and a shoot is happening on the side. It's like that.
I understand. I don't know if you'll answer this, but who's the most difficult one to work with?
Like I said, it's a different vibe for me. It's not like, if it's difficult, then we don't work with them only. It's not like,
I understand.
If you're working with someone, and see, I'll tell you one thing about difficult. It's a projection that many people have kind of. I'll give you an example. Like suppose if an ad agency guy is trying to get extra pally with any of the actor,
right,
and that guy is keeping his distance, the actor is keeping a distance from the agency guy. Right. So she is branded attitude problem. Because she can't be friends with everybody. And don't compare how she is with me and compare to how she's going to be with you.
Obviously.
So you cannot, how she's today, if someone's extra pally with her male makeup artist, she's not going to be so pally with the client or with the agency guy.
Of course.
So today, if she's going to keep her distance or going to be reserved, they are named as attitude problem.
Okay.
So many times it happens like that when someone's trying to keep their distance, they will be bad mouthed at that.
I understand. Okay. Now coming to the trends, but this is a very interesting topic actually. Now you've been in the industry for almost 25 years, You've literally seen, I think, the cusp of how the genre in terms of fashion, the genre in terms of celebrity photography has really changed.
Right.
Because I remember in about if you take about the 80s and the 90s, the way the shots used to happen were way different. When the cusp of the digital era came, it completely changed. Right. Things became a lot faster. And now we're looking at a completely new set of trends, a completely new angle in which it's going.
Right.
So do you think that this is a very important turning point, I think, in this couple of years and maybe the couple of years to come, wherein this genre will be completely different from what it used to be earlier?
So, in the last 25 years, I've seen a lot of shifts in terms of, when I started in mid-90s, when I started shooting, like you said, 80s and early 90s had a very different style of photography. When I used to look at the magazine covers, I used to add my remembrances, of overdressed, very garish makeup and very loud magazine covers, overstyled clothes also, as if it's almost like a show performance kind of clothes, where covers were treated like the posters from the magazines, very loud. That's what the crowd wanted. When I came in, I remember I got a lot of flack for it also because I started shooting them my training was with models. I worked with all the top supermodels when I was with Sumit. And so my mindset was to shoot them very natural. So my first assignment was Atish while I was training with Sumit. And I shot Sanjay Dutt as my first model. and as an actor, as who, and I said the first shoot was in Mauritius with him, and so he said, what do you want me to do, Dubs? I said, just leave your shirt open, black pants, and walk through the water. That was my first sequence with him, so yeah, sounds cool, let's do it. And he looked like a model, like a supermodel, international supermodel in the beautiful waters of Mauritius. And those pictures came out, and then we went for a fishing trip, and I shot some bare body pictures of his, some close-ups, hair flying, very natural stuff, nothing like what the magazines had seen. And in '94, when Aatish released, those pictures came out as billboards, and those pictures came out in all the magazines. And suddenly there was like, who is this photographer? So rather than me calling actors, I started getting calls from magazines that this actor wants to shoot with you, this actor wants to shoot with you, because there was a change,
right?
The way I was seeing this. And suddenly all those magazines who were giving me flack that how you shooting them, and this is not the style of shooting actors, you're making them look, suddenly they are calling, can you shoot for my magazine? Can you shoot for my magazine? So it was a big change at that point where suddenly you saw actors dressing up, literally wearing ganjis, and like I used to go home and shoot. I remember I used to just come around the corner to Saif's house, this one's house, Pooja's house. I used to just go to their homes and shoot pictures like natural light, window light, terrace, go take them to the downstairs to the building, pose with cars, like stuff that had not happened.
Right.
So it was a big change for the industry at that point, and that's what made my signature style, and suddenly noticed my work, and that's when I told Sumi that now I'm getting assignments on my own and I want to start out. And and then during the whole trends became much cooler, and then you saw a lot of international brands coming into India,
right?
And suddenly actors started wearing those international brands, where in the 80s, where it was only supermodels getting into those, like supermodels was much cooler than being filmy.
Absolutely.
It was like filmy in a bad way.
Right.
And suddenly brands wanting to give clothes to actors, and big brands suddenly want to shoot and collaborate with actors. And that's when I saw a lot of change happening. International brands coming into India, a lot of big companies, stylists, designers. I saw the whole trend, and then of course we had the digital era. Then we got the internet, where we could access so much in terms of what's going on worldwide. Earlier we had to wait for somebody to come from abroad to get a Vogue magazine for us. So
right.
So yeah, I've been a part of a lot of era in terms of even from film, from analog to digital,
right?
And then today, in the days of social media, where you have access to everything under the sun,
right.
Where you want something in 2 days, you can have it,
right? But do you think that the cusp of that change, the biggest change, I would say, of course, in terms of technology, from film to digital, and now digital to mirrorless, now everything is pretty much getting wiped out,
right?
But from a trend in terms of the way shoots are done, the way I would say how the general public is viewing the industry or the stars and things like that, is completely changed, and is changing a lot in the last few years.
It keeps changing. I feel every few years there's a change. Earlier, the 70s, 80s era was the longest. In the 90s onwards, I've seen every 4-5 years there's always a new trend, and the good thing is that everyone's ready to adapt to it.
Right.
Earlier, people were very rigid. Even like when we went from analog to digital, it was a very hard shift for many photographers.
Right.
I think 2004 is when I moved full-fledged to digital, and I was only among the 5 or 7 photographers who had gone digital.
Yeah.
Many people are still fighting that battle and saying that no, it can't happen. Film is film, but you had to realize that if you don't do it, you'll be left out.
True.
So similarly, with any trends that are coming, we will have to follow it. Today, if it's AI, today, if it's what, you'll have to see how to incorporate it in your work rather than fight it. You cannot shy away from that.
Absolutely. It's interesting you talk about AI actually. Is it it is a foregone conclusion that at some point of time it is going to be everywhere,
right,
if not already. Is it really used a lot in the genre that you are in today?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. it's not in the, especially not in my genre. It's
Okay.
more in the thing fantasy, and it's in a
Absolutely.
different
Right.
genre of photography. Or I mean, I use it in a way like the correction tools in Adobe, where you want to extend backgrounds or you want to help
Understand.
in terms of crops and stuff like that. But I don't edit my own photos. I have an image retoucher doing it for me.
Of
So I don't
course.
know how much he's using of it in terms of helping his. But I believe it'll quicken things up.
Right.
It'll make things like a lot of steps that they used to take to say clean up a background if there were scratches and dusts. Today it can happen by a
Matter of
prompt,
seconds, right.
So that way I feel it's being used in
Yeah.
our genre, but
Yeah.
not in terms of faces and not in terms of it's not high end. But I mean, like, we have to be aware of it, what the power of AI is and how to
Absolutely.
incorporate it in your work. I mean, if you can incorporate it, great. But don't try to think that if you fight it, it's going to go away. You can't.
Absolutely, yeah. But where do you think that trend might be heading, especially in your genre? I mean, I know for sure that I've met a lot of photographers, I've spoken to them
Right.
a lot, and in many ways, in many of the industries, in many genres, that people are already using it. Of course, not to manipulate pictures, which probably is not even ethical,
Right.
but to, of course, in terms of the workflow, increasing the workflow. But more than that, for example, now, as you know, that online is a big, like, for example, the online product
Right.
category now.
Right.
It's such a huge business that there are
Right.
actually production houses, there are agencies who only do that.
Correct.
And today you can actually just use a phone and you can click a picture of the product and everything is done in the background with the AI.
Correct.
Which is, I think, very, very difficult and very outside chance, especially in a genre that you are in.
Right.
But if something were to happen, where do you think that trend would be, and how do you think that AI could be utilized in that scenario?
It's not in the near future,
Okay.
because I feel that, especially with models and actors, when you're shooting, the expressions and that aura which you can get out of them for an actual photo shoot cannot be generated. There's one funny thing I read about someone telling me that we are far away from it because clients are so confused. They don't know what they want. They don't know what prompt to give AI.
Right, right,
So
right.
so they'll never be satisfied. They always want 10 options and then they want to choose the best one. So I don't think even actors would be comfortable if their faces were generated on AI at this point. Where it's not genuinely the expression, or because I feel the mood that you create and what you're thinking at that point of a photo shoot, an actor has a lot of thought that goes into it. When today, if you give a brief to an actor that, okay, we're shooting for a watch brand, so what he thinks or what he wears or what is a lot to do with that moment. I mean, his expression or what newness he wants to bring to the table can only be brought by him.
Understand.
I feel that that's something that cannot be generated. But if it's something in the background, if it's something that needs to be corrected, or if you want to change the color of the couch, or you want to, that can be done on AI. I feel, like you can change the design of the couch, or you can manipulate the color of his outfit. But I feel still, I'm from the film era. I've started my career on film, so I feel that as much as is possible on set, with lighting, with this. So I am very less in terms of even when image retouching. I try and do as best lighting I can do on set, rather than depend too much for my image retoucher to retouch and give me that effect.
Right.
So I feel that that's one thing with the new age photographers, is that they are very dependent on post. Like
true.
everything. If something's not right in the background, post mein ho jayega. If you can do it right there, why not do it and get that mood there itself?
Right.
So I feel the things you cannot handle, you should leave to post, rather than becoming everything dependent on post.
Right. Film is actually making a comeback.
I know. I recently read about it, and I met the Fujifilm team, and they also said that they've already come up with one camera.
I know.
Which has a preloaded film.
Yes.
And they're also coming back with a lot of black and white films. And so I used to, when I was film photographer, I used to use Fujifilm itself. So for me, the ecosystem of Fujifilm has been pretty amazing.
Right. So, I actually met someone recently who told me which I don't know how much of that, but again, a credible source. I would trust them with what they say. They actually said that abroad these days, when you're actually traveling or if you're a photographer, and if you have a digital camera, there is a very high chance that one is you're not appreciated, neither are you taken seriously, because you are, like you said, you're someone who's possibly come from a new age wherein you're too dependent on the digital process. But as opposed to that, if you really have a film camera, you are taken far, far more seriously than what you're actually taken.
So, see, when you're doing travel and you're doing projects for yourself, it's fine to shoot on film. But today, when if you tell an actor that I'm going to shoot this whole campaign on film, and where he gets to see nothing while you're shooting, I mean, it's a bit scary, and they will not appreciate it. So they'll say, okay, you shoot film for yourself, but shoot one on digital camera so I can also see it at the same time. The patience level even for an agency or a art director and a creative director who's there on set and is, taking you back 25 years or 20 years, I don't think they can handle that where so much money is at stake. Basically.
Absolutely. So, from the business standpoint, I mean, I actually wanted to focus a little bit on that as well. How does a photographer today who wants to come into this business really in this genre commercialize what they're doing? I don't mean from a perspective of fashion and things like that. Naturally, when you're going to shoot for brands, if someone who doesn't really want to do that and just focus on more of like kind of star or celebrity glamorous photography, is there a way that they can commercialize it, or is it?
So like many times when I'm shooting for an actor for his personal pictures, I don't charge them. I do it, because of the rapport and the relation that we have.
Right.
But more than that, then they will give you a lot of brand shoots, or they will recommend you in different shoots where you can make the money. I don't do. I don't know what the other photographers do and what their relation with the actor is. But I feel that when I'm shooting for an actor and we've known each other so many years, it's more as a friend. I'm doing a shoot for them and I won't charge them. That's because that's not in me to do, and I don't do it in a way that I expect them to get me work.
Right.
It's more a relation and of these 25 years of being in the industry and stuff like that. So for someone, maybe initially they can get paid little less, but you can, if you make a rapport with them and you do some editorials with them, you get do some brand shoots with them, you will end up making money. But even if you don't make money and you don't get brand shoots, the credibility you get, the work that you can put up on your social media and claim those as your pictures will get you work from other clients.
I understand.
So a lot more clients will notice you when you have shot with a celebrity. So you can end up making money from different things. Don't expect that you're going to charge so much from the actor. Even if the actor gives you a certain amount, it's fine. It doesn't give you a that's fine. It's more about, I think you should do it to get the exposure, to get the publicity, to able to post those pictures as yours is good enough for a newcomer.
Right. But from a perspective of is it easy to get that level of access? The reason is because naturally, I think there is a comfort zone where most of the stars they really work with, as you said.
But what happens is like actors are shooting every day, even for the outfit of the day picture.
Right.
So for that, they keep trying new photographers.
Understand.
So if you prove yourself good and you have that one opportunity and you do a great job, there's chances you will get. And even if you're shooting out for the day, sometimes the designer may hire you to buy those pictures off.
Right.
So you may get work from that brand you're shooting for. The makeup artist can recommend you somewhere else. So work can come from anywhere.
Understand.
And it's all about when you're doing a shoot, you have to also network with the right people. You have to think a lot more. When you're talking about business, you have to also think of a business mind. You can't just think that you did the shoot and sit at home and work will come into you. It's not like that. You have to speak to people, you have to meet people at the shoot, if possible, show your work to them, share your work, show them. Networking is a part, and the competition is fierce in every profession.
True.
So it's not about you do, like I said, if you do one shoot and you expect that for the next 20 years you're set, it's not like that.
But does this put like an established photographer like you in a challenging position in terms of business and commercials? For example, naturally now you being in your at the level that you are, right? I would say there are about 3 or 4 of them who are at the same level. Then there are so many others who really obviously want to get there as well,
Right.
Which means that they cannot demand or they cannot really be at the same commercial level as you are. But because they want to get there, there is obviously a lot of undercutting, which happens in every industry.
Every.
And I'm sure it happens here as well.
So I mean, there's a lot of work as well. I mean, it's not like if you're good, you get your fair share of work. I mean, because of Instagram and because of these new photographers and a lot of image retouchers who think they are photographers and do everything else in post, you definitely lose certain amount of business. There's no question about that. But thing is that today when you're shooting for brands or you're shooting for certain people, they know that when you shoot with like the top level of photographers, there are 4, 5, 10 photographers, whoever, you're assured of your results. So today if a brand is paying an X amount of money to an actor and then spending so much money on the ad film and spending so much money for makeup, hair, styling, then he doesn't really compromise on a couple of lakhs when you to get a big photographer.
Right.
Because he's assured that, okay, I'm going to get the quality and I know the pictures will come out good and he will be able to handle the temperament of the actor because of the relation that you share.
Right.
So I did without taking names, I recently shot a brand campaign for a big actor, and so that client was bargaining a lot. I said, sir, you're trying to bargain for this small amount, but you don't understand. If that actor comes there and you go with a substandard photographer and he doesn't manage to deliver the pictures, or if the actor gets upset that this guy can't light up, I mean, you're going to lose crores of rupees.
Right.
So he said, yes, okay, shoot is on.
And he Pennywise, pound foolish.
So you're going to spend crores on advertising on the hoardings, and then you try to compromise of 20, 30,000 or trying to bargain on something. It's not worth it.
Right. But how's that route in terms of business work? For example, now naturally there's a photographer, of course there's the agency, and then there is the star, right? So is it like that where the agency is the one who always, and of course there's the brand which is the client side. So is it a collaborative effort wherein like certain stars specifically say, okay, I'll only shoot? Or
not necessarily. I mean, today I think sometimes it starts with the agency where he will suggest to the brand that, okay, we're taking this celebrity, he has shot with these photographers before, or the agency will say, I have worked with these 3 photographers before and I know they can handle a shoot like this, and they will give the client these 3 names. The client will say, probably go online and see your work and say, okay, can you get me this name first? And then they'll get a quotation from maybe all 3 photographers, and then they'll run it by the actor as well, or the manager of the actor, and say, okay, we've finalized X photographer, and they, mostly that's how it goes through. Unless there are some actors who are really, really close to some photographers, like literally treat them like a brother. Then they'll say, for this campaign, can you work with this one? Not for all shoots.
Understand.
For a particular shoot, he may say, okay, can we work with this one for this shoot? Or he may, for the next brand, maybe use this photographer. It's a suggestion. It's not that they will not shoot with other photographer. It's sometimes they want to work with their comfort zone.
Of course. Right. Now, speaking about, you mentioned about go and see the work online and things like that. Now, today, in today's social media, I think, age, everybody has access to everything, especially when you are shooting in the genre that you're shooting. Is it difficult to put out what you have to put out? The reason is because I think there is a big difference in a lot of the other genres that most of the photographers work with vis-a-vis what the genre that you are in, or anyone who's in the same genre as you. I see a stark difference in terms of what is the communication, which actually goes out to obviously the followers as compared to what happens in the other cases. And again, it's purely probably because there is a lot more. Um, there's a lot more that they want to communicate in a specific manner, wherein there's a possibility that, or say maybe 50 or 60% of the people actually who come to your profile, they naturally are attracted towards the whole glory and fame.
Right.
So is that also a mindset that a lot of the photographers in the same genre have, or that you have, like when you are communicating with your followers or fans?
In terms of what I post,
What you post, what you put out, how is it that you need to handle that scenario situation?
So when I'm posting, first of all, we have to wait for the brands to release the pictures or whatever shoot you've done. Either the actor may post first and then you can post it later. So those are the norms you need to follow. Where I never post even a story or like a BTS or anything, because those are ethics which I have followed from the very beginning, that until the brand doesn't use the picture, I will not post that picture. So or a BTS or me with the actor or whatever pictures, so. And I feel that with social media, it should be what I try to promote with my page and connect with the people who are on my pages. I keep it more fun. I don't keep it all work. So my social media feed has a mix of family, has a mix of me with the actor, some behind the scenes, some fun, some picture of me and the actor, and also some of the work that I shoot as my calendar and some pictures that I've done with the actors. So I feel that keeps it a little more approachable, and you know the person. So today, even if when someone's coming to me for a portfolio, who's a newcomer, like an aspiring actor, knows my temperament, because he now, thanks to social media, you can reach out and show yourself out as well. With earlier, I remember, when actors or when models used to come to meet me for the first time, they expected, like, they're not seen who I look like. I'm talking of like in the 90s and the early 2000s, and where they read Dabboo Ratnani in the magazines, and then they come to the shoot and says, "You're Dabboo," like, "You 20-year-old boy, you 21-year-old boy, you're Dabboo. I thought you're some, like some guy with long hair, big beard, some, the creative, whacked out people, So it's like, so now people can know what to expect when they come to me, or to any other photographer. So you know what the person is. And still there are many photographers who are not comfortable being in front of the camera. They will not want to do a podcast. They will not want to do interviews. They will not want to pose with the actor also. So each one to his own. But I feel that keeping it fun on social media and keeping a part of you on the social media makes the audience connect with you a bit better.
Right. You said family, right? Now I know that there's a heavy involvement, of course, of Manisha, your wife, in a lot of the work that you do.
Right.
What has been the pivotal role? If you'd say, I would say three things. What has been the pivotal role that they've played in who you are today?
My family. So Manisha handles everything. She's with me, working with me 24/7. So it's like when we go for shoots, we're out together. When we come back home, we're together. And with the kids also, till school hours and all started, when they were young, they used to come and hang out at my studio and hang with me in my cabin or watch TV in my cabin while I was shooting. So they totally know what their dad is doing, even when I'm not at home. If I'm shooting late, they know what I'm doing. So I feel that rather than leaving them at home with the kids, with the maids, they learned a lot more while they were around us while we were working. So literally my kids, all three of them have grown up on set only. And the early years they've been a part of. So they exactly know what I'm doing, how I'm shooting. Now, in fact, 90% of my reels that go on my social media is edited by the kids.
Right.
Many times they come up with the concept. Many times they'll say, Dad, this is a new song, this trend is on, shoot a video as per this. They'll
Right.
edit the video, and they sometimes when we do family reels, they'll come up with the concepts. So they are part of the whole journey. And Manisha handles everything in terms of production, dealing with all the like makeup, hair, booking everybody, the light boys, everything, like all the production Manisha handles. So I can focus more on the concept and the creative side of things. And she's a bounce board for me. And when I'm thinking of an idea also, and say, okay, we want to do this calendar shot, I'm thinking of these 5 ideas for X actor. So she'll say, try these 2 first. If she doesn't like it, then we present the other 3. So she, that way I get a perspective. I think someone working from the family, handling your production, your finances.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely, you trust someone, without any thought, because
Absolutely.
in the past when you've had assistants and you've had people handling your business, they always wanted, hey, he's making so much money, he's doing this, he's doing that, why can't I get a chunk of that? So it's, that vibe is not right. I feel with the family, although we were advised after marriage not to work together, but I think it worked out very well when she started managing my business. When she joined me, I had some 7,000-8,000 unread emails. I had not replied to. I didn't have the time, so she handles everything. Right.
Are there good and bad days? I mean, because what happens usually is that there are times when you are, obviously you say you're working together, then when you go back home, you're still going to be together and things like that. And then sometimes it's difficult to disconnect between the two.
No, I think it's, and we have both share the same birthday. We both are 24 December. So we are very compatible and our thought process is very similar. So I don't think that's ever been a problem.
Interesting. I want to also just ask you about,
also one more thing, with Manisha being on set, many times when you're doing really sexy pictures, the actors are even more comfortable. When you have your wife right there and she's assuring the actor, like I said, because of the relation we've built with the actors, they trust you blindly. They know that if something's not looking right, it'll never be released. So that also helps in terms of, winning the trust over of the actors as well.
I understand. Right. I want to talk to you about just one question about your own transformation as well, because I know you, I think now it's been more than 20 years. Yeah. And I've, of course, seen you being more healthier and now you're a lot more fitter. I think you look so different in terms of you look more radiant. How has that helped you in general?
So I had reached a point when I was 118 kilos where I promised myself that this is the last day I want to see myself on the weighing scale at this, and at a time when you start tying your shoelace and you're getting breathless is a scary thought, So from that day, I never reached that weight. I was always on the way down from there. I put on a couple of kilos during COVID and lockdown and everything because the gyms were shut and felt like a extended holiday and eating at home and cooking with the kids and everything. But then again, now since the last 3 years, I've started training and trying to put down that weight again. So I feel a lot more healthier. I feel a lot more energy, and I feel that I'm I have more energy now than I was like maybe 10 years ago when I had all that weight. So I feel that also you learn so much about fitness looking at so many actors, Hrithik, John, many times Akshay, Tiger, we keep discussing about workouts, we keep discussing and they inspire you, and many times I'm always asking them questions about protein, about this, that, and John is also very, very helpful in that way. John, Hrithik and all have been from my school. I've known them. I've done their first portfolios. So we share a very different relation, So even with Akshay, the whole natural, they're like family friends. Twinkle, Akshay, they're like family to us. So we keep asking them questions and we get inspired by them. And we realize that for the kids, the healthier you are, the longer we live to be with them, to be a part of their lives. And that's what keeps me going. I feel that And I truly wake up in the morning and look forward to my gym session. I plan my shoots. If we can probably start the shoot a little bit late, wherever I can manage, that's so I can finish my gym session in the morning and then go for the shoot. So I really look forward to it. It's not like a chore that, oh God, today is gym day. I mean, so I plan my day as per my workouts. So I started eating much healthier, mostly home food. Even at shoots, I carry my dabba, my khana, and go. So I feel that really helps. And not eating outside oil has been very good for me. I feel much better.
Right. Where is the inclination from children? You think they will come into your industry, or do you
they
think
are,
they will?
Like I said, they're already into creating content, so they really are good with their skills of photography, lighting, editing, and they've seen it from their very young age, so, and they've been a part. So all three of them have the passion for the creative space. I don't know what they'll do in the future. Like my dad we used to have a Bombay dyeing shop, and we were in the fabric trade. And my brother became a chef. I became a photographer. So none of us followed what my dad did. So similarly, if they want to do photography in the future, great. If they don't want to and they want to do something else creative, it's up to them. So we will encourage them with whatever they want to do. But I see them coming in this creative space for sure. Something to do with content, maybe with editing, maybe with video. You never know.
Okay, one last one. What is your, if you have to give 5 pointers to anyone who really wants to get into this industry and make it big, what would those 5 pointers be?
In which industry? In photography?
Photography, and more in terms of the genre that you are in.
So first thing I would say is that I keep saying this, the main thing is the passion, the fire that you have to become in any genre of photography, whether even if you're doing wildlife, even if you're doing industrial, you have to have the passion and fire. The way you see the way guys shoot food photography also is a great genre to do. The guys who shoot the food, they're really like breathing the food. They're really into it. They want that one dot, one detail. We may not notice the detail, but the way they shoot food, they put in that 200% into it. So any genre of photography that you follow, you must put in that extra effort, and you should literally breathe photography. I mean, for us, when I walk into a location or walk into a hotel or go to a holiday, first I'm looking at the location in terms of a shoot, then I'll order the food or anything else. So I feel that it has to be in your bloodstream for you to justify it and to keep at it for a long-term basis. In these 25 years, I've seen many bursts of photographers who have come and fizzled out because of the same reason. They just come, make a big bang, and suddenly 2-3 years later they're not there. So that shouldn't happen. That won't happen if you are really passionate. And the second thing I would say is to do certain amount of work for yourself, whether it's an exhibition, whether it's a book, whether it's a calendar. I mean, for me, it's my calendar that keeps me buzzed and keeps me wanting to explore and try new things. It could be anything that drives you, basically. So for many photographers, it's exhibitions. For wildlife photographers especially, they like to see the prints blown up and put up at a nice exhibition. So I think certain amount of work for yourself is important to keep your creativity alive, to keep that fire alive. Then I'd say another thing is that although it's expected that you will have good equipment, keep on
updating,
researching and updating your equipment in terms of what's new. Don't think that we moved to digital in 2004. I mean, we've upgraded so many cameras and lenses during this journey. So I mean, you have to keep getting the best equipment that's available in your budget. And luckily, a lot is available on rental today, so you don't have to really invest. But it's important to know what you want.
Right.
Then I'd say yeah, focus on lighting, focus on how, like, lighting in terms of how you want to light up that particular shoot. Focus on that part of it. Like I said, every time I go to shoot, I think of something new that I want to do. So the main thing is to have a clarity in terms of what you want to create that day. Is it going to be hard light? Is it going to be soft light? Is it going to be natural light? Is it going to be backlit? It's what you want to create on that particular. You have all the equipment available to you, but you should know what you want from that.
Right.
So that clarity should be there. Another thing, the last thing would be, I think, is don't do it for the fame. Don't do it for the glam. Don't do it to meet beautiful chicks. Do it for the true passion. Do it for yourself. Do it for keeping that artist alive.
I understand. I just realized we didn't really talk about the calendar actually at all. But of course, I think your calendars are people really look forward to. I know that I look forward to them, of course, for sure. They always sit pretty on my desk as well every year. I know that you took a break for a couple of years, and then now, what's the plan with the calendar this time?
So we've started shooting the next calendar. We have done more than halfway through, and like I said, it's a passion project. I don't want to rush it. So whenever it's ready, we will release the next one. And it's like a non-commercial process where actors do it for the pure love for me and for doing something different. And in the future, I've got a lot of other plans. I did one creator calendar a couple of years ago.
Right.
I have some more ideas for the next calendar in 24, 25, 26. Also, I'm thinking of expanding and trying new concepts with calendars. And I feel that although we really don't look at the dates on the calendar, it's more a project and more like a passion project, and people still look forward to it, although they don't really check the dates. We use our mobiles to check the dates, but I think still having it on your desk. And when I'm many producer offices and director offices, when I go to do meetings and I go to actors' homes, I see the calendar placed over there. So it still feels as good as my first day at work. It still gives me that thrill. So today also somebody meets me and say, I love that shot you had done in 2007. It feels good because, people have remembered that one image or remember that one calendar shot that I had done so many years ago, So I feel then, and things have changed in terms of there are people follow it for various reasons. People follow it if they have a particular actor who they love. People do it. Some people do it for the photography. Photographers follow it to see what new techniques I've done, what new locations, what new concepts I've done. So it feels good. It feels, I think that's something that's kept me relevant for so many years and kept me also motivated and kept me churning out good work and pushing myself to the next level. So I feel it's really something that's been a part of my 25 years of my journey, and it's really still my most pet passion project.
Right. But is it difficult to stay inspired in that respect? The reason is because how many editions? 10 editions? No,
I've done 23.
23 editions. Okay. So 23 editions, which means that there's a high chance that you've probably worked with
24 actors every calendar.
Yeah, but say about 50% of the actors are the same from over a period of 23 odd years. And then
we keep adding a few names every year. Yeah.
So how is it that you actually come up with newer concepts? Because the reason is, I think at some point of time, you would obviously, or even the actor would feel, okay, you know what now? And because it's a pet project, you can go all out, you can do what you want, but still there's still a certain type of a limitation.
Of course, there are limitations because, like I said, it's non-commercial, so we don't have unlimited budgets. I'm funding it myself.
Right.
So there are many times I come up with ideas, but then I think, it's going to cost so many lakhs, I can't do it. But I mean, God's been kind. I mean, like I remember the last calendar when we had done with Akshay. I literally went for a meeting with him, and he was shooting at the metro yard where the metros get parked.
I remember that picture.
Yeah, and so I said, "Wow, what a location! can we do a shot today? My camera bag was in the car. So he said, today? So I said, look at the space, sir. Where will we get it? He said, chal, theek, kar lete hain. And I got access to a whole metro yard to shoot in. So like that, I mean, you have to be ready at any point to take on that opportunity. So similarly with Hrithik, with Shah Rukh, I mean, I've done some crazy concepts. So and a lot happens at the shoot itself. Like I literally have made Shah Rukh walk in the middle of a river, like in a lake in Vai, when we were shooting in Panchgani with a whole mountain backdrop and everything. So I mean, things just happen for me. It's something you have to be aware, and you have to think of new ideas. And I went with one concept, came back with another. Similarly with Arjun Rampal, with every time we shoot, we've gone with one idea and come back with a completely different idea. So locations inspire me. When I go to a particular, in a studio shoot, you pretty much do what concept you have, because you've come and gathered everything and you've done the styling and everything. You're stuck with that. But when you're actually shooting on a location, anything new can inspire you. So like with every actor, when you think of 5 different concepts, so at any given point you have 100 plus concepts ready. So yeah, I don't run out of ideas.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Dabboo, for doing this. It's been really good fun talking to you, and of course, look forward to the calendar, and best of luck in a lot of the other things that you'll be doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.